Hey guys. So last week, or this week actually, the conclusion of this week, I almost died, and that's kind of an exaggeration. But either way, I did learn a very valuable lesson that I wanted to share with you guys. As it turns out, from the last video that we shared, hydration is important. You get water in your system. You need water in your system, otherwise you dry up, dehydrate, and bad things happen. Well, there's more to it than just water, it turns out, when you're on the trails. Part of the thing about running long distances is not just about how much water you end up losing, but also other things like salt. This is something that's been reiterated to me frequently by all sorts of different runners leading up to my first race here in a couple of weeks is be careful on your salt loss. And frequently being told there's a balance, find your balance, okay? Well, let's say I'm out on the trail, I'm running, I'm sweating, obviously, and I'm losing water, I'm losing salt. Well, there's always that opportunity to replace water. You just drink more water. But what do you do about replacing that salt, especially if you're not a big fan or advocate of drinks like Gatorade, okay? Part of the deal with Gatorade is the fact there's just a lot of sugar in it. And I mean, for some people it works. I can tell you from being around all these different trail runners and ultra marathon runners in the past couple of weeks, none of them use Gatorade. So that gave me some questions and some ideas of, okay, so what do I find? So I have 3 different options with me here, just to give you a rundown of some lessons I've learned with them over the past couple of days. One of them is kind of just an all-day drink water kind of deal. One's a little more about the whole active thing. The other one is you want to drink your meals. Okay, so let's just get right to it. First and foremost, let's talk about this little brand, Nuun. One, they have a really cool little container that all their little tablets come in that kind of look like Shock Tarts, okay? They're not Shock Tarts. They taste terrible if you eat them by themselves. I did happen to find a runner that did say they chewed one up before each race. Pray for that person. So, Nuun comes in all sorts of different tablets. One of them is an all-day, one's an active, and then another one's energy. Actually has caffeine inside of it. One of the things about Nuun is they too take pride in being all-natural, vitamin-enhancing, depleting of sodium, get that back in your system, and easy access. These are pretty simple. You pop the lid off, you take a tablet out, and then you throw it in a container of water, let it dissolve, and call it good. Okay, so that's pretty simple, pretty self-explanatory. Me, being the really cool guy that wanted to learn how all this trail running stuff works, went to my local grocery store and purchased this. All right. Now, this is not the same as this. Same company, different objective. This is for, honest to goodness, people who just have a hard time drinking water during the day, like myself. This is kind of designed for them. It gives them a nice little flavor. There's some vitamins, antioxidants, and things along those lines. And there is some sodium to it also. However, this is a huge difference than this. Okay, so if you're looking for just your all-day thing, like, oh yeah, get your vitamins, minerals, a little bit of taste. This is tangerine lime, by the way. Throw a tablet in, call it good, and go about your way. So we're going to put that one to the side. After I tried that one and realized, oh, hey, this is not something designed for active wear. Thank you to Nuun themselves helping me out on Twitter to discover that probably was not the best thing for me to ingest. They suggested I tried Nuun Active. Okay, now this one I did not find in my local grocery store. I did have to go to Run 816, the running store where I always get all my fun stuff. And they suggested trying this stuff out. One of our trail runners is a huge advocate of this stuff, absolutely loves it. This is the one where they did say that they do indeed take one before a race and chew it up, which I personally will never be able to do. But there's a higher sodium content inside Nuun Active. It is focused more on the hydration and getting all the good stuff back into your system that you lose while you're running. It's a replenishment thing. There's no preservatives, low calorie, refreshing taste. So yeah, there's that. It is gluten free for those who are curious. It is vegan, and it's also clean sport. More so for the watch what you take with your college athlete, things along those lines, doping and all that kind of stuff. So that's Nuun Active. It does have electrolytes, also known as really cool little salt name for salt. The flavor is pretty good for this one, I will admit. And I personally now carry this one with me on all my runs. This one does go into one of the bottles that I carry with me, just because even on my shorter runs, being able to get a little bit of the salt back in, because believe me when I tell you, I sweat a lot. My shoes still haven't dried after 3 days ago. That's how wet they are from the sweat. So I lose a lot of salt constantly. So I suggest that I carry this one with me inside my vest. So Nuun Active, it's a good one for that. So I'll put that one to the side also. A lot of people are a fan of that one. Then there's this. This is the bag. All right. This is called Tailwind. All right. Tailwind is based out of Durango, Colorado. And the concept behind Tailwind is really your go-to everything you need all in one shot kind of deal. It is a powder. It goes into water, obviously. It is a clear powder. It does dissolve very quickly. There's your price that I paid for it, at least. The concept behind Tailwind from the guy who actually created it, who founded the company, he was, I don't know, still is, a trail runner. And after his race at the Leadville 100, he had some serious stomach issues from some of the stuff that he ate along the race. And he said he couldn't stand it anymore. Paraphrasing all this. So he came up with this stuff. Now, the bag I have here does have caffeine in it. But the big thing is this right here, simple and complete. The idea behind Tailwind is it gives all your stuff together. You got your sodium, you've got your actual like potassium, your sugars, your calcium, all of it together. So the idea is you have this inside your water instead of having to carry, gels, chews, salt tablets, things along those lines. Okay, so I will give you a story about this one. 3 days ago, today's Saturday, yes, 3 days ago, I went out. I was going to do a 10-mile run. That was my objective. And it was cooler that day compared to what it has been. It was about 84 degrees. And I took off, and I made it about 3 miles, 4, and then I started having severe stomach cramps. Now, on my vest at the time, I had a liter of water on my bladder, and I had a bottle that had the Nuun Active in it also. By mile 5, the Nuun Active was gone because I had drank all of it. My bladder was getting low also just because I was trying to get stuff into my system. I made it back to the start point of this run, and that was 6 miles. And my wife came out, and I had sent her a message, and I said, find the Tailwind stuff, put it into a bottle, and bring it out to me. And she did that. And I came out of the trails, and before I even got to the bottle, I had to make an emergency stop at the restroom, which I'll spare you the details on that. But afterwards, understand, like, every inch of my body is wet at this point. Like, my socks, shoes, shoelaces, shirt, vest, hat, everything is soaked. Like, there's not a dry spot on me because of how much sweat I had just generated, which means I had lost a ton of salt in the process. And while Nuun Active had been great for most of my runs, in this instance, it wasn't enough. And I'm thinking it was partially because of humidity, partially because of distance. So my wife gave me the bottle with this in it. I poured it in, just shook it up a little bit. And to be honest with you, shame on me, I pounded it. Like, I drank that thing far quicker than I probably should have. I'm not really sure. But it was gone, and I sipped on it a little bit for last mile. I got 7 miles out of the day. I did not feel well. In fact, it took me probably another day to recover completely. However, getting in the Tailwind, getting the stuff into my system at that point, it definitely eliminated the cramps. It knocked out the the shaking, the depletion. You know, that feeling where you're like, oh man, I have run out of everything in my system. It was quick to get it back in. I did not get a stomach ache with this for as fast as I drank it. Had it been something like Gatorade, I would know I would have gotten an immediate stomach ache from drinking something way, way, way too fast. So that was just a trial pack that I had with me that day that the guys at Run 816 had just said, hey, take this one and see if you like it. The next day I drove back to the store and I actually picked up this full-size container. This is good for 30 servings. You put in, it is 1 scoop, for 2 to 3 scoops with 24 ounces of water per hour for endurance grunts, or 1 to 2 scoops per hour for shorter workouts. Okay, I'll tell you right now, leading up to the race I have here in a couple of weeks. The race, it's a 10-mile. It is a trail, and it starts at 9 o'clock in the morning on July 23rd. I can tell you right now, this is going to be my primary source because it gave me the stuff I needed. It did not allow me to feel miserable, and it was easy on the stomach, and it definitely kept me going. Okay, the key thing out of all this, whether it be Nuun, whether it be Tailwind, and there's other options out there, is it all depends on the individual. That was the big thing that was expressed to me when I was looking at all this kind of stuff to figure out what my body needed. Understand, I'm 6'5" and around 255 pounds. I'm a large frame guy just all the way around, and I lose a ton of water and a ton of salt, as I've said repeatedly. So figuring out this is key, because what happens, you don't want to be on a trail and not have the appropriate fuel. You need to keep going. So that was my lesson for this week. So, Nuun all day, it's good. It's good for the day. Tangerine lime's pretty rough, but it's still good. It gives flavor to the water. Nuun Active, this is something I would carry with me, 3 mile, 4 mile, 5 mile, especially if it's not extremely hot outside. I carry it in one of my bottles for sure on my vest at all times. And then Tailwind, this stuff right here, is my definite go-to for ensuring that I have the energy and the replenishment that I need to continue going miles on end. It really helps from the dehydration standpoint. So those are the things I learned this week. I survived, thank goodness. Definitely suggest checking all these guys out, and there are so many other options out there. These are things that are held within the store that I shop at, my running store that I actually run with as well. So definitely things that were suggested to me. I definitely approve all of them for sure as a newbie, and I look forward to using them in races to come. So it's Nuun. You can find them Nuun Hydration, and also Tailwind Nutrition as well. So there's something. Remember that when you're running on trails and things along those lines, it's not just how fast can you run or how long can you run. It's can you keep yourself fueled and balanced at the same time. So there you go. Tailwind, Nuun, and I survived. Yay, something new for the newbie.